So I decided to start recording so I could get a quick was I not sharing that whole time? All right. So I decided to start recording so that way we could just do a quick like HTML, CSS refactor kind of situation. So basically what I have here is I have a header div, and then inside of that header, maybe I'll have links and I'll have a logo. So this is a lot of divs. There's a word for this, by the way. We call it, when someone does this, we call it div soup, is what it's called. It's when someone overuses the shit out of divs. But let's go ahead and overuse the shit out of divs so we can figure out what is a good alternative. So we'll first just make a quick build and burn, get things styled. I'm going to move quick just to get it created, and then we'll talk about refactoring. Okay, so this is going to have an H1 in it, and maybe this H1 will say app, and then this this div will have links, and this will be an unordered list, and this unordered list will have item 1. Cool. 2, 3. Cool. Let's go ahead and style that real quick. So I want to take my header and I want that to be a flex box. Cool. And then I also want to take my links. We're actually going to just grab the UL and make that a flex box. And whoops, we'll also take the I don't know, we'll go list style 9. Cool. And then we'll give a margin left of like 20 pixels or something like that. And then we will do this header will have justify content space between. Cool. And then maybe we'll do background color black, color white. If anybody has questions on what I'm doing, feel free to ask. I'm going to do margin. We'll do margin left. Can be 100 pixels. Margin. Oh, not margin left. Padding left. Padding right. Can also be 100 pixels. And cool. I have a not too terrible looking fucking header. And then we'll do like a main section too. The main section will just style. We'll just give the main section a style of background color green. And then I think we need to do height. It's going to be 100%. Pixels. Interesting.
Yeah, I had a hard time with percentages.
Yeah, I can't remember how to get this thing to be full screen. There's a way. I thought it was 100%. Is there like a max or something? I don't know. For now, I'll just do 1,000 pixels, whatever.
There's like starts with a C.
I don't know.
Contain or it's not contain. It's the other one.
Not sure. I'm also going to take this body. You see how there's like white space around everything? I'm going to fix that by just taking the body, doing margin. I don't know if that fixes it. Yep, that fixes it. Cool. Cool. There's my shitty ass little app. I think that these little LIs, we want to have some space between.
So you said you was going to show us how to keep the header with the page. Can you do that now?
Yep. Well, what I'm going to do now is we're going to clean everything up. Okay. First of all, who knows how I center this vertically? Anybody know?
Go ahead.
No, you're the master here.
Nah, man, I don't want to. But
how do I do that, Cam?
The display flex.
Yep.
And shoot, I mean, I guess that puts it in a row, but I thought that you also needed.
Yeah, so what aligns things this way on the main axis, which is because it's a row is horizontal, a column is vertical. So the main axis is this way. What align things along the main axis? Which property?
Justify.
Yep. Now, is this, if I want to take this thing and move it up and down, is that the main axis or the minor axis?
That's the minor axis right now, since you're in
Yeah,
the-
so how do I access the minor axis of this?
Oh, okay. So you have to do align either item content, something like that.
Yep, it's align item and then center, and that should do the trick.
Don't
Did
you
I
have
do
to
it the right
turn it
spot?
into a column first?
No, it doesn't have to be a column. It's still a row. Should be, is it right here? Is this where that would go? Align item center? That should
No,
be
I mean,
right.
don't you have to do flex direction column?
No, because it's
then-
not a column, right? This is a row. In other words, oh wait, I'm
That's
sorry.
what you have to do, right? You
This
have to put it
should
in
be
a row.
the UL. The UL needs to have it. No, because both of these are rows, right? Let's think about this whole black element, right? This whole black element is one row, right? This is the first item. This is the second item. So that's a row, right? Because the first and second item are next to each other, right?
Mhm.
This is also a flex row because all of these items are next to each other.
So basically what you're looking for is the
I
class
just put this
these items.
align items in the wrong,
yeah.
and this also should say align items. That should have done it.
Well,
Maybe
wouldn't-
on both.
Would you have to make a class for the divs, the items here?
There we go.
Yeah,
We just
there you
needed it on both. Let's look at why here. When I get rid of them on this one, whoops, let's see. If I get rid of it on that one, you can also like use, this is part of the reason why you don't necessarily, one thing I do like doing sometimes is putting a background color on something just so it's clearer. So this whole header is black, and let's maybe make this thing background color pink or something like that. Let's do red. I think that way there's contrast. So now we can see, oh, okay, here's one flex box. Here's another flex box, right? So let's get rid of both of these align items. So if I get rid of that one, you'll see, oh, okay, well, now this whole box is not centered. So first let's center the whole box. And actually that should probably do the trick. I don't know that I actually need this other one. We'll find out. Let's see. I think that the problem might have actually just been that I had a line item in there. Yeah, I don't actually need the other one. But you can kind of get a gauge for what's going on just by like setting a color that's just temporary. So now that my app looks nice, I can get rid of that. I can get rid of this. Cool. All right, now let's talk about cleaning this up. So the first thing is that this whole thing is a header. This concept, by the way, that we're about to go over is called semantic HTML. And what that means is, what does the word semantic mean? I'm going to ask Hector, since I know he's a beast with the vocab. And we haven't talked to him yet today.
My bad, guys. I'm taking care of my duckling. Semantics is like a formatting of like structure of words or something.
I would say it's a little more than that. It's what does a word mean? So yeah, I mean, I guess, right, like you would say like the semantics of a sentence are the words that you choose, right? Like, oh, okay, we're saying the same thing, just different semantics. So like in general, semantics are just kind of like the words that you use to describe something. So when we talk about making HTML, semantic HTML, what it means is that we can be more descriptive about the HTML that we're writing just by choosing better tags. So for example, you see how this thing has a class of header, but it's a div? Well, you know what? There is an HTML element with the purpose of being a header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this div to be a header. And now it's going to fuck up my styling because I'm actually looking for dot header. Why is that working? That shouldn't work. Oh, it's because it still has a class of header. We don't actually need this class of header. That's overkill. And by design, there's only supposed to be one header element on my page. So all I really got to do is get rid of that dot, and now it's actually just selecting my header. Cool. That's a good change. Now I can see everything inside of here is inside of my header, and that's pretty easy to read. Okay, cool. This thing is a logo. We can leave that as .logo. I think that's fine. But if this is a logo for my page, I might actually be better off. So this is a class of logo, right? What would be the difference between when I would use a class and an ID?
ID is only used for unique elements. Is that the name?
Beautiful. How many
And-
logos can I expect to be on my page?
Just pretty much one, maybe. I mean,
One
unless you-
logo at the top, right?
Yeah.
So this maybe would be better served as an ID, and we'll call this the website logo or something like that. By the way, does anybody notice anything wrong with this in here?
it's not a kebab case.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just go with convention and make that thing kebab case, right? So cool. Now everything is still working the same. We didn't actually apply any styling to our
Would you
logo.
say that using an ID versus a class might be better served or will serve you better for like metadata return, like search returns or?
I don't think it actually affects metadata that much.
Oh, okay.
It might. I don't know.
Like a search engine optimization type of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that answer to that question. I
Okay.
don't think it makes that big of a difference, but I think there's other things that make a lot bigger of a difference. Yeah. Okay, cool. So can anybody think of, let's see. So here I'm doing a selector on UL. Can anybody think of a problem on why maybe just selecting a UL element and styling it is a bad idea?
Have any more ULs, it's gonna do the same styling.
Exactly. If I have multiple ULs on my page, I'm selecting all of them. So maybe I have two different lists and they're supposed to be displayed differently. Does anybody know how I would only select ULs that are inside of this links div?
No clue. Honestly, I've been just using like a million different H1, H2, H3, H4 because I didn't know how to do that.
Can
Oh,
you
that's
ask
okay.
the question again?
What? Yeah. So can anybody, so the question I asked was, can you see a problem with just styling all UL elements at the same time? That's because that's what this is doing. Any styling inside of here will style every single UL element.
Just style the div and do dot links.
Yeah. So what I would do is, first of all, we can do a little bit more semantic HTML is what we'll call it, right? So first of all, this div does not need to be a div. It can actually be a nav. Nav is used specifically for this purpose. So now I have a nav. Guess what? It didn't fucking change anything on how it looked. It's just that now I know this is a nav bar. So nav for navigation, right? Does that make sense?
So what kind of different properties does it have calling it a nav?
It
instead of
literally
div?
behaves exactly like a div. It's just called a nav. There's a few of these. I'm just going to put it in the JavaScript part. There's nav, section, header, footer. I think all of those are valid things that basically are exactly just divs, but they just have a different name.
I gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that would help a lot.
Cool. So now I know, okay, here's a nav bar. And you know what? I'm going to give this there could be multiple navs on a page, right? There could be different like ports for navigation kind of thing. So we're going to call this like page nav or something that's unique. And by the way, would this be a class or an ID?
To be honest, I still don't know the difference really.
That's okay. Let's keep it as a class for now. I'm going to press Command Enter, and I think that'll fuck up our styling, right? No, maybe not. Okay. Oh, no, because we just styled UL. Okay, so really, like, to be honest, Hector, at this point, all that it changes is how we grab it. So this might sound like a stupid and semantic bullshit, but, and it does. It really does seem that way at first, until you start making a few websites and you're like, I get it. And I promise you're going to have a clicking moment when you do. But let's say I want to style this specific UL. Does anybody know how I can grab this specific UL as it is now?
You dot page dash nav.
Yeah, so what I could do actually like this, I could do dot page nav and then only grab the UL that's inside of the dot page nav. Does that make sense?
And you do you still need the UL tag after page nav?
Yep. Because the thing that I actually want to style is the UL,
Hmm.
but I'm only grabbing ULs that are inside of anything with a class page nav.
Oh, okay.
Now let me give you an example of what I think you're asking, Hector. We're going to take this main section and we are going to make this a flex box. Don't stress too much about it right now. But what I'm going to do right now is we're going to do a sidebar. Okay. So I'm just going to make a div. We're going to call this sidebar. Okay. So now I have a sidebar there and we're going to give this sidebar a width of 100 pixels and a background color of orange. Or actually, let's try cream, see if that works. Nah.
That shortcut that you did to create the
Damn it.
sidebar, div sidebar, is that something you got separately? Or can anyone do that?
Oh, yeah. You could just type it. Those are Emmet abbreviations. So it's a
Oh,
VS.
does
It's
you hit
actually
like div dot sidebar and it?
yeah.
I
If you
don't know
type
what
in
it was.
div.sidebar, it's like saying make a div with a class of sidebar.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
You can also do it with div pound sidebar, and that creates a ID.
Oh, look at that.
Yep. And you could do that with most of the elements. Watch this. li.name. Cool. That is called Emmet abbreviations. So let's go ahead and
Gotcha.
make this thing 200 pixels. And you know what? I now want to have a list inside of here. So maybe this sidebar will also have a nav, and this nav will also have an unordered list, and this unordered list will also have a few items. Item 1, cool. And then let's go bam, 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 bam. All right. So this looks actually fine how it is, right? I don't know about you. I think that looks fine how it is. Let's give this thing now a class of page nav and see how it looks. See how it looks all fucked up? In general, like classes are meant to be used generally. So how many page navigations are we going to have on our entire web page? How many elements with either an ID or a class name of page nav would you expect?
Quite a few.
I would expect 1. I don't think there should be 2 page navs personally. Like to me, when I think of what a page nav is it's my navigation for going to different pages. And there should only be 1 spot on my website that does that. So in my personal opinion, I should actually change this to be an ID. And now instead of doing dot page nav, I have to do pound page nav. Does that make sense? Because I'm referencing an ID instead of a class. Does that make sense? Ask me some questions.
No, that makes sense.
Now let's say I want to get rid of bullet points here and I want to get rid of bullet points here, right? That might be a good opportunity to use a class. So for example, I'll tell you what, I am going to take this UL here and maybe we'll give this thing a class of, I don't know, destyled list or something like that, right? Now this UL down here, let's get rid of this class here because I don't want it yet, right? So maybe what I could do is, let's say I want to unstyle my lists. Class, I could do destyled list. And basically all that does is it takes this list style and makes it none, right? So right now I have it working here, but it's not working here. So I can fix that really quick by doing bam. And now let's take that property and do a dot destyled list. And then inside of here, we could do that list style none. And hey, now this is fixed and this is fixed. Is that starting to maybe clear it up a bit, Hector?
Dude, my grandmother called me and I had to, so I'll catch it in the video.
All right, let's do
But-
another example of when I might want to use a class. Maybe I have
Okay, cool. I'll catch this one for sure.
okay. Maybe I have a few different text sizes that I want to use. Okay, so here's an idea. Maybe I can just go ahead and start with some CSS. I'll make a text XL. We'll make a class that does, basically whenever I use this class, it's just extra large text. So I could make this thing a font size of 40 pixels or something like that, right? Cool. Now, whenever I want something to have large text, I just give it a class of text XL. So for example, there, hey, look, if I want to make this thing large, I give it text XL. I could also just put this inside of the class. So I could put this inside of here and maybe call it text XL. And then, bam. Now I just made all those large. So let's think of a use case for classes that I think is nice. So I have a bunch of text elements on the page. Let's make an extra large. We could make a large.
Oh, okay, cool. So now I understand the difference between, or why you'd like to use class and ID. But
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Does one supersede the other, or is it like margin and
Yes.
padding type of thing?
Great question. Great question. And this is called CSS. What's the word?
Hierarchy or something?
Hierarchy. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We'll do medium. I kind of want to finish this out now. Small, and then XS. Right. Watch this. Watch how nice this can become. This is just an option. We'll go 40, 30. I don't know, I guess 20. I guess we could do 15, 14, and then 10, right? So now what I could do is, oh, let me try some different classes out. So maybe I'll take this destyled list and I'll go text M. Give that a save. Did I just,
It changed.
oh, I didn't see it.
It's
Cool.
the Sam.
So
and
now I can
Lincoln.
like play around with it. Text S. Bam. Oh, I like medium. Medium looks good on this for me, right? But you could see like, okay. And I can give something else text M too. So for example, this list, maybe I want to be text M. Text M looks good to me. I like that, right? So are y'all starting to see the power of classes versus IDs, right? Like, and we specify them differently because it makes it easier for other people to follow. That's the reason.
But my question is, if you were to reverse like where you write the ID versus the class, like are they interchangeable, or is an ID always greater than a class, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's question hard. So IDs are more specific. They are more specified than a class. So for example, let's actually do this. Ready? LI. We're going to take all LIs on the page and we're going to try and make them font size. We're going to do 1 pixel, which is incredibly small, but fear not, because, oh, we did actually make them smaller. Wonder, that shouldn't have actually changed. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no, it's because this LI is more specific than this UL. I think if I did, let's see. Let's make all of these 10 pixels for now. Let's start with this. So I'm styling all LIs and making them this. If I put a class directly on an LI, and let's go text L, right? I expect this thing to get larger. Why? Because before we were selecting an LI element, but now we're selecting a specific class on an LI element.
Right, because I guess that's what I was asking. Like, so you have two contradicting demands. You're saying, in a way, right? Like you're saying all, what is it? All LIs should be 10 pixels.
Yep.
However,
This
specific,
specific LI,
right?
this specific type of LI should be
Yeah.
even more specific. Now my question would be, which do you think would take precedence if I had?
Yeah, that's my question. Exactly.
Yeah, well, I'm asking you. Which
Well, I guess the
sound-
class, because you're saying the ID is more specific, or
Which sounds more specific to you, an ID or a class?
an ID sounds more specific.
Yeah. So the general way I remember it is that the more specific one always takes the cake. So,
Oh, okay.
for example, let's give this thing an ID of a specific LI, or we'll call it a specific LI. And then now I'm going to style this. I'm going to say a specific LI, and we'll give this thing a font size of 100 pixels. And hey, look at that. That takes the cake. In general, the more specific that it is, it takes the cake.
Is there something more, even more specific than an ID?
Yeah, you can go ID. Let's see. You can also go, like, you could have compounded selectors. So you could say if it's this, and if it's I don't know, dot text L, you could do that too. Is that right? Oh, and I think you need a comma. That would work. So there's more options. I wouldn't get too lost in specific stuff. If you want to practice that hierarchy shit,
Mm-hmm.
a really good resource is let's see, CSS Diner. I think it's made by the same people that do that,
The flex one,
the flex thing. I could be wrong. But so for example,
or the float.
here they're saying select the first bento. So if I do just bento, right? And then I try to see how that's grabbing both bentos. This is like level 19 out of 32. I don't remember how to do all these by heart. Like, I forget all this shit. But if you ever want to, like, a refresher, you could run through this in like an hour.
Nice.
So here, now it's saying here, select all the plates. So if I type in plates, I'm grabbing all of the plate elements. Bam. Let's try the next one. Select all the bento boxes.
Wait, and why don't you have to put dot plate?
Because this element type is a plate element. It's not a element with a class of plate. Does that make sense?
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah. So here I want to grab the fancy plate, right? So that means I can grab an ID of fancy. And that should do the trick. Here it's asking for grabbing the apple that's on a plate. So I can grab the apple inside of a plate by going plate space apple. And these are just practicing your selectors in CSS.
Cool.
It's called. Yeah, I could do pickle and then on a fancy plate. Whoops. Oh, it would be fancy pickle. Sorry. So fancy pickle.
Wait, and when would you use that what do you call that, pound sign thing?
The pound sign is an ID selector.
Oh,
So
okay.
for example, let's ask some questions. How would I grab all small objects? But look at this HTML.
Okay, so small is a class, so you wouldn't use the pound sign.
Nope. What do I use for a class?
Dot.
Yep. So
Oh, nice.
what would I type in? Dot what?
Dot small.
Bam. I grabbed all of the small things. Okay. How would I grab all of the, what happens if I type in dot small here? Which elements would I select?
Only the oranges.
Why only the oranges? Are there anything with the
Oh
small?
no, there's an apple as well.
Yeah, so I'll type in dot small here and oh shit, I'm not just getting that, right? So what if I want to only get oranges that are small? They actually give you the trick here. If I only want
Type in dot small space orange, right?
nope. So this would say, look for any element that's small. And then inside of that element, there should be another element called an orange. And we don't even have that here.
It would
What
be
we can
orange.
do is call orange dot small. Whoops. Orange dot small. And now we've selected the small oranges.
So if I want to select orange and small, let me see, man. Can you go back to that page real quick? So why do we put orange first in that one?
So
And why
If
didn't
I-
we have a space between orange and small?
if I do orange small, it's not finding anything, right? Let's talk about
But
why.
the last one you did, you selected.
Let's try this out.
Well-
Let's do it with some raw HTML. Okay. I am going to make, let's clean up let's do a little bit of cleanup. I want to we can leave all these like XLs here. I do want to get rid of the styling that we had on, we don't really need styling on LIs. Oh, I do need to add margin to those. I also need to go to the ID. This page nav, that's fine. Oh, whoops. I think there's something else with an ID that's being fucked up. How am I grabbing this first element? Page nav UL. What am I fucking up here? Oh, it's probably because I gave this thing a specific LI. And then let's get rid of that. Bam. Do that save. Okay, we're back in business. All right. So what I want to do is mess around with some stuff. I want to grab an LI inside of this destyled list. Or actually inside, let's give this thing an ID. So this ID is going to equal, actually, no, I don't even want to do that. I want to grab this list inside of this nav. So first of all, how do I reference this nav?
You gotta call the ID of that specific nav. So hashtag page nav.
Beautiful. And then how do I grab an element inside of this element?
You have a class.
This,
so-
nope, this is what that space is for. So if I want to grab a UL inside of my page nav, I grab my page nav and then I want to style the UL inside of that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Wasn't the last in the last one you did page nav dot ul?
Nope.
Oh,
Page nav UL. Now, if I wanted to grab a UL, let's give this thing special, okay? Maybe we can style some of our lists and make them special. So maybe if I say, okay, I want to grab a UL, and if it's a UL, whoops, and it's special, I could do dot special. And then now, I don't know, maybe I'll do something stupid. Hover, UL dot special. Yeah, you can't do a hover. I mean, I could do, let's say maybe I hover over it and I want it to turn orange, right? Give that a save. So now this special UL does that. These don't, because this one is special.
Hmm.
But if I wanted to, I could take this UL and just add special to it. And then, bam. See, cool. And maybe if I do h1 dot special and I hover over that, its color actually is supposed to turn green. I don't know. Right? Did I fuck that up? Oh, I haven't given this equals special. Give that a save. Bam. So now, even though I'm using the same tag, special, I'm saying, if it's a UL and it's special, then when you hover on it, make it orange. If it's an H1 and it's special, then when you hover over it, make it green.
So
That's interesting. So you have so many classes for that one particular element.
Yep,
And
you can
there's-
have as many classes as you want on an element. That's totally fine.
I got a question.
Sure.
Once you referencing an element and a class, does the element always go first? Or does it switch once you have an ID? Because I just saw you do like,
Yeah, so
Instead
an ID styling will override a class styling. Absolutely. If you style an ID,
Oh.
it overrides the class.
so I guess I'm asking like, if I had an ID and I needed to use UL and the ID, would the ID go first or would it come second?
So if you want to grab a UL of a specific ID, so let's give this thing, we'll call it our, I don't know, page nav list or something like that, right?
what
Let's
does UL stand for again?
What? Unordered
UL
list. Unordered.
Unordered list.
Thank you
Gotcha.
for asking that.
Sorry,
So
no.
if I want to grab this specific UL, there's a couple ways I could do it. I could either say grab the UL inside of page nav. That's what I like to do because then this doesn't look as ugly and I don't have as much styling. But I could also say page nav. So let me grab the UL with an ID of page nav list. And honestly, I don't need to do, I could do it like this. I could do UL and then ID page nav list. I think this works. Page nav list, just like we did orange dot something, but it's kind of redundant. Let's try this out. Let's see. This should be super specific. I don't know if this works, but if you think about it, it makes sense that it would or wouldn't work. It does work, but it's kind of dumb because saying, let me grab the thing that's a UL, but also has an ID of page nav list. It's kind of stupid because
Because
ID should only reference one element on the page anyways. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So if I'm saying grab the UL with this ID, that should be redundant. It should just be grab the element with this ID.
Wait, so if you try to have multiple things with the same ID, you might break your website type of thing?
It's so the website will actually read an error. Yes, watch this. Let's see. Let's try giving this thing an ID of website logo. It won't actually like break it, but it usually will render some kind of error. It's not rendering it here because you're in a code pen, but try it on
Yeah.
your.
have
it might
another
actually-
ID with that. I think you have to make the ID page nav, right? You have to have another.
I guess in general, you just don't want to have two IDs that are the same. This shouldn't exist. I shouldn't have two elements with an ID that's the same. That's the point we're trying to illustrate. Let's
Gotcha.
try it. Does that make sense? Try it
Yeah,
out.
that makes sense.
I think if you try it out and open up your dev tools, you'll render a warning. It's a warning though. It doesn't break your page, but it will be like, dude, what are you doing? Cool. What other questions we got?
How can you use Flexbox to make, I want to call it float, but I want the box to float, like where you got your salmon colored box down there, item 1.
You want to
Can you-
center it?
can
in
you
the
make
whole
it-
page?
Oh no, so like you see where the salmon colored box is right there?
Yep.
Can you make that float so that it looks like maybe 20 pixels of that is going up into your header section? You see what I'm trying to say?
Mm.
Like
No.
I just want to take that column, take that box and move it up without moving anything else like 10 pixels.
Oh, what you're saying is you want to fix the header. I don't actually remember.
No,
What?
I don't want to fix the header.
Well,
So
in
like
other
you
words,
see how you
want
have
when I scroll, you want basically the header to stay in place, right?
no.
No?
No, what I'm saying, you see how you have a straight line across from your header and then your other 2 div boxes down there?
Do you know how to use the annotate tools on Zoom?
Yeah, maybe.
Try drawing on my screen and see if you can point it out to me.
Let's see. 2 options. Annotate. Okay. And I'm gonna draw in, I guess green would be visible. So you see right here,
Yeah.
I want to take this salmon box and I want to move it up like 10 pixels so that it starts here and everything else stays exactly where it's at.
That has to
Is
do
that
with,
possible?
it's possible, yes. But it's kind of weird to do at first. So basically what you could do is,
Basically, you would have a div overlapping another div, and that's what I'm
right,
trying to figure
there's
out.
a way to do, I'm gonna fuck this up if I try it, to be 100% honest. But I think what you can do is, let's take this sidebar, and I think you can do, the problem is we're using Flexbox. It's not that easy to do using Flexbox. If you were going to do this, actually, we might be able to get it to work. Let's try it. The problem is the way that you would normally do it is like, the container for this thing has to be an absolute. This thing has to be relative. So what you could do is you can take this sidebar and lock it in a container. So main section would be the container in this case, right? So main, we could do, right now it's a flex box, which is kind of gonna fuck us up a little bit. So what we could do, gotta think for a minute. We could take this main section and you'll see this is gonna fuck it up. If I make this thing absolute, it's gonna be a little bit more fucked.
Goodness.
Yeah, and then you could do, I think, can you do height 100% here? See if that works.
You forgot an S in your absolute.
Absolute. And what you can do is you should be able to take, let's make this 1,000 pixels real quick. Oh wait, whoops. I don't want that to be 1,000 pixels. I want this to be my main section. Cool. We probably have to get the margin of the top and get rid of that. So margin, we could probably just do 0 pixels all around. And that should fix. I bet the top thing has a margin. So I probably need to fix. But you can see like it's a lot. It's like more than you might think.
Yeah.
Margin 0 pixels. Let's see if that fixes that. The thing that sucks about using CodePen is it's harder to like debug. You can kind of do it though. Here, let's see. Like I'm trying to figure out what element is spaced right there. What is my body? My body, your body, my body is burning up. I can't seem to figure out what is my main section background color? Main section background color is green. We can get rid of this real quick. Okay, so that's working. Let's see. I don't understand the space between them. But what you can do is if something's absolute, you can use these properties called like left, top, right, bottom. You have to make the, here, we'll make this thing position relative now, I think. So, oh, this should be position absolute. Position absolute. That's why it was fucked up. And then what you can do is say bottom, and then let's go like 100 pixels, and that pushes it up. That should work. 100. Why did that not work? Position relative. Trying to figure this out. Bottom.
Is it because it doesn't want to push above the app name?
I
or
don't
the
think so. Let me see. Left position relative. I feel like I'm just fucking up something stupid. Position relative. I have the right syntax there.
would you say that if it's like all these elements are within the same layer and therefore it doesn't want to overlap, or
No, I don't think so.
Is it because it's under your main section?
like couldn't you put like the header, let's say positions
Oh, you know what? Did we?
0 and then the sidebar position 1 or something like that?
This also should say main section. Let's just fix that. Wait, it's one less thing that bugs me as we go. So let's see. I have a width 100%. So what you should be able to do is position this thing like top, see 0 pixels. See if that works. That should move it to the top. Position absolute. CSS layout, relative absolute. So if you have, let's see, div fixed, absolute, position absolute, and the relative. Maybe I have it backwards. Maybe this thing needs to be relative. I don't know. This has actually been good for teaching me. Absolute. That doesn't seem to work. Let's see, try it myself. Let's go to this W3 example so that way we can see what they're doing. This is good to practice, by the way. Like in general, go to W3 examples. So this thing has a position absolute. This thing has a position relative. So the outside div has a position relative. The inside one has a position absolute. So that means that we can go, okay, cool. So watch this, ready? Let's run this, right? Cool. So this just defaults to going into its spot there. If I go top and then maybe like 100 pixels, it's going to be 100 pixels from the top. If I go negative 100, it's actually going to go the opposite way, I think. See that? That's the strategy.
What does the term ancestor mean?
I don't know exactly
Oh, okay.
context.
That makes sense.
I probably
Okay.
could figure it out with context clues. But yeah, so this main section, I guess, should have a position of relative. The
Yep.
sidebar should have a position of absolute. I think we need to specify a height, maybe too. So let's go 1000 pixels or something like that. I don't know. For now, that'll do. And then what we should be able to do is do top negative 50. Let's see if that works. Nope, doesn't like that. Position absolute.
I think is it because you have width and height at 100% on the other one instead of.
Potentially. Oh no. Maybe.
Because they had it specified in pixels and it was
Yeah.
larger than the sidebar.
I feel like the width. Let's try it. 500 pixels. I don't think that's what it is. Height 500 pixels. As you can tell, I am not the king. Relative. Wondering if it's because of this margin. Nope. Dot main section should have, probably messing up something silly. So the relative, and then let's look at the relative is on the outside, absolute is on the inside. So the outside one is div.absolute. So it should have a class of absolute. The inside one should have a, oh yeah, the absolute one, no. The absolute one is the one on the inside. And it's relative and absolute. I'm wondering if I need like a, I'm really not sure. Let's try, it could be the border. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time just fucking around with CSS.
Yeah.
Seem to be under the style section. Like,
Let's try this out. Border 2 pixels solid yellow. Great. And then let's do main section. Damn. Oh, I see what the problem is. The problem is that the height of this element is just way more. So I think if I did this,
You got to make it smaller than your other one, right?
yeah, I think that's the problem.
If you make it like 50 or something, then you can move it around.
Yeah, let's see, top 50. Is there anything else that's being styled here that I fucked up? So I have, oh, by the way, something I forgot to say is that this could also be a section instead of a div. Everything else would work the same.
So what's the difference between section and div?
Nothing other than the name.
I bet.
It's another one of those. Cool. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure what's going on here. This will happen often, especially with styling stuff. I'm not the best at styling. Let's see if I try. What if I try bottom 0?
Make your subsection just like 10%. So like do like 50 pixels or something. Like the sidebar. Like make
Just
your
do
width and
height.
height like 50.
Let's just
That
do
way there's no chance it would overlap.
I think that's what's going on. Because here, look, top is 50 pixels here. I don't think that's what's happening. I'm wondering if I need like a display block or something. Nope. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to waste too much time on it.
Okay.
But are you getting a better idea of how to like structure your HTML at least? I'm
Yeah.
sure I could Google this issue and fucking figure it out. I don't want that to be what this is all about though, because y'all have different issues than I have. So don't want to waste too much time on that. All right, what other questions y'all got? Hector, you got to show your app off. Everyone else did, except for Cirillo.
Sure.
Do
Let's see.
it.
That's an amazing app.
I know.
Wow. Did you reinvent
Golly.
Zoom?
I did, dude. Wait, how do I? This thing's in the way. How do I get this screen
If you
bar?
click on the 3 dots, you can click hide.
Oh, perfect. Just hide this thing. Hide video panel.
Yep. By the way, we can't see that bar, so
Oh yeah, I know, but I can't.
yeah,
see
no, I
any-
just thought I would let everyone else know that.
Oh,
this
whatever. Here,
bar is
local host.
valid, we just can't see it. Ooh. Oh shit.
Can you hear my audio? Can you hear the audio of the
Guys from
website?
the Matrix over here.
You can actually, if you open up those dots again, like if you just click the Zoom icon on the bottom, you open up those dots again, you can click those dots, and then under that, there's like a share sound option.
Oh, perfect.
This is some fucking Hector Schmidt shit right here.
To find the secret of the universe. The answer you seek lies in the link below.
Genius. I could make
The
a
only problem is I
video.
haven't finished the the second page. So,
Oh my gosh, this is incredible.
but
The fucking app though. Surprise.html.
Oh, how the hell are you doing this, bro?
bro,
He's got
a
a
lot of
background
googling,
kit.
bro.
This is actually probably easier to make than yours, I would think.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure.
man.
It's not even that much code, man. Look.
Back, man, I don't know about that, man.
Shit. Is this always
Oh,
during class? Every time. So what that is it's a background.
yeah, this is a background video.
So it's actually not that hard to do. Here, I'm gonna share my screen and cheat. Ready?
Yep.
Not
Stop
to
share.
demystify Hector's beautiful app there, but it's actually fairly easy to do if you wanted to incorporate something like that. So what you could do is, let's just go ahead and make an image. So here, I'll just make a div that is as here. Let's make a section. Cool. This is going to be section. I think I should be able to do width is 100%. Height is, please work. Background color black. Why doesn't that work? We should probably just nip this in the butt right now. Select or make div full screen height CSS. Let's see.
I did it with Flexbox and like stretch, I think is what I ended up having to
Oh,
use.
you could do 100 video height. That works. That's kind of hacky. But there's probably a better way. Whatever, we'll do this now. We'll do 100. VH is a unit that's like percentage of video height. This should be video width. So now, oh wait, this should be
You got 'em
video
backwards.
width. Yeah, that should be video height. Bam. And there we go. And then also we can just do the body, give it a margin of 0 pixels. Cool. So now what I could do is instead of doing background color, I could do background image and then a URL. And then let's go to like Jiffy. Just look for a GIF. There we go. There should be copy link address. I think will work. It might not. We'll find out. Bam. See if that works. Let's just look up.
It's got to be in quotations, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm done. See, even I make silly mistakes. Oh, whoops.
Oh, even that didn't work.
Background image.
Why is URL not?
I just think you picked a bad link.
I think
It
that's
should
what
work
is.
because you didn't.
I think that's exactly what it was. Copy link. GIF link. That's probably what I want.
There it is, exactly. Yeah, you copied like the post thread or something.
Oops. I fucked up. Let's see. There we go.
Oh, okay. So now this is when you would use the what I was
Dude,
talking
you
about
wrote
earlier.
in 4 lines of code what took like 10 or like 20 lines of code. Well, I used a YouTube video instead of a GIF, but I think a GIF sounds much better.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's a lot easier to do with a GIF than a video in general.
So now you would do contain and then no repeat, right?
Yes,
it would
I don't
make the
remember
whole-
how to do the no repeat. No.
Or would you have to stretch 100% or something?
I don't know.
No, it's
Background
contain.
repeat. Oh fuck. Let's try background repeat. It's just a.
Dang, I missed everyone's projects. You got to upload this video so I can see it.
Oh, I didn't record that part. But
Oh,
I'll have everyone do it now. Background repeat is probably just a property. So I could do background repeat.
like no repeat or something.
I was probably background repeat none if I had to guess. Maybe no repeat. So you're saying it's no repeat like that?
With Flexbox, that's what it was. I don't know what it is without. You had to contain the. Yeah.
I think there's probably a stretch option. Like background size. Probably do the trick. Auto. Background size. So here are the properties you could have: auto, cover, and contain.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
There you go.
You got to do cover and then no repeat, or contain and no repeat.
Background size, contain. Cool.
Might be cover.
Yeah, let's try that. Yep.
There it is.
Nice.
Now, what I imagine some of these CSS properties, you could just be like no repeat and then cover right here. So like no repeat cover. Yep, that does the trick. I think, maybe not.
That would have been nice if it did.
Yeah, sometimes it does. Maybe here. Whatever. Yeah, maybe it's a separate thing.
No, yeah, it's much better, especially because it'll loop indefinitely. Whereas I think the video, I mean, my video is like an hour long, and I didn't expect anyone to stay over an hour. But
Yeah.
you know, once it ends, you know, it basically breaks.
Well, it's also easier to style too. Like it's easier to
Yeah.
overlay shit over this than a background video. That's kind of like, this is kind of like why GIFs exist. Like, I don't think GIFs originally existed just for memes. Like, I think that someone invented this for like practical applications, and then it turned into memes, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, cool. Cam, show off your project again. Then Dylan, show off your project again, just so Hector can see.
Just so if I could.
All right, here we go. We gotta go to Google. There we go.
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
Look how stylish that shit looks.
Nah, bro. Whoa.
Not as good as that Giphy stuff y'all just showed me, man.
Man, how'd you get those irregular shaped boxes? That's crazy.
What's that?
That's probably like, what's the word? Border.
That's
You're using border radius.
that
Yeah.
I put on there, man.
It's actually not hard to do.
Border
Yeah.
radius.
Literally
That's
this
crazy.
right here.
Oh, so each is a corner of the
Okay.
box?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
I
nice.
think it starts from top right, bottom right,
Yep.
Clockwise? Cool.
goes from there.
You see how he imported a font too? That's a good challenge for everyone.
Damn.
So something.
Oh,
So let me highlight some things that I liked about everybody so far. Like for Cam's, the thing I think Cam's like right now is the most like projecty, in the sense that I could tell that Cam's dumped the most time into making his look clean. He's made sure that the font is good. He's tried out different styling things. He's got a nicely styled header, and that's something that I fuck with. I think everybody could benefit from trying to do a little bit of that. Dylan's, the thing that I like about Dylan's is it looks like Dylan has like deliberate practice in the page orientation, which I would like to see more of from everybody. Here, Dylan, why don't you go ahead and show yours now?
Let me stop sharing.
So the thing that I really like about Dylan's is that, yeah, I can tell that there was deliberation put into getting a
Right.
very specific design.
So I got,
Um,
we talked about it a little bit, but I kind of lost in the sauce with all of my divs here.
Yeah, but go ahead and
I
show,
got
just
a
show the
whole lot,
page.
and then my page here,
Yep.
or not a whole lot,
nice.
but having a whole shit ton of divs.
That's mad solid though, man. I like that.
I
Yeah.
like how it's like deliberate intention put behind getting this thing to look clean, because even though it may not look as like fancy and cool, you're learning the skills, and that's the important part, and I like that. So yeah,
I think you can glean a little bit of everyone's personality from their website. Mine is straight meme, dude.
yeah, you are a meme, Hector. But yeah, I like that about this. And then yeah, I like the creativity on yours, Hector. I think that's awesome. But I think y'all should look at each other's and see what everybody else is doing, and I bet you can maybe pull some ideas off of that.
Oh yeah.
Sure. I would like to see on Cams, I'd like to see some kind of like, try to get a flex box to do something. Draw out a style on a page and then try to make it in CSS. Rather, what yours looks like, Cam, is like you kept messing with things until it looked good without necessarily a clear idea of what you wanted to do before. And I think that there would be a benefit to you like giving yourself a specific challenge and saying, I want the CSS to look like this prior to even coding anything, because then it's going to force you to learn like Flexbox a little better, I think. But also your website looks ridiculous good. So
That was
Yeah.
the problem.
What I did though.
what?
That's exactly what I did.
Oh,
Like,
you did? I believe you. Maybe then the style you were going for is just different than what I would have gone for, but it still looks really great.
I'm saying
looks great.
what you said that I did is what I did. Like I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
I could tell
website-
because yours looks great. And I think the part of the reason why it looks great is because rather than you going in with an idea, you followed what you could do and the things that you could learn. And therefore you made something that looks super nice because you tried out all these ideas. But what would be another different type of exercise that's probably a little bit more frustrating would be like, all right, let me design something and then try to create it, because then it forces you to learn the shit that's harder to learn maybe.
Yeah,
If
and
that
I
makes-
realized that doing that Flexbox Frogger thing, like when
Yep.
you have, oh man, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'd really like to see all of y'all incorporate a Flexbox. If we do that, then I think y'all are about as good as styling as you need to be for an entry level program. Like, to be honest, like just to give you an idea of like what my capstone project looked like. This capstone project got me a job. So like, just to show you, like, you don't have to be amazing at styling. There's a whole bunch of shit that you got to know, and styling is kind of like not the number one thing. It's still really good to learn because ultimately you're showing websites to people. So if you get good at styling, that's what matters. But y'all can see like this styling, it fucking took me forever because I sucked at styling by the time I was like about to graduate. I didn't learn styling that well when I was a student. We're starting with that here. So y'all, from now on, whenever you make a project, you're going to get better and better at styling each time anyways. But here is a app that I made. I have a hunch if I were to try and make this again, it would be a lot fucking easier for me to do. This is actually pretty easy to style, and it took me like multiple days to style this. So I bet I could do this in a day now. But the point is that you're going to get better at it with each app you create. Every app you create, you're going to want to put a day into styling, right? Does that make sense? So now y'all are armed with that knowledge. I'm already proud of the progress of everybody's project that I've seen as far as CSS goes. And I am not joking when I say I have seen people that graduated the same program I did that had shittier styles than any of the projects y'all saw here. So already pat yourself on the back. You're doing a good job. And none of that was really like, all I am is like motivation. Most of y'all learn that styling shit on your own. So just already, that's a fucking win. So pat yourself on the back. You're doing good. So I don't know how we're going to do like presentations. I think we'll probably just take like maybe 10 minutes in the beginning of class on Monday to like be like, hey, what was your projects from last week? Cool, let's get started on new content. But I want y'all to start thinking about now, finish your projects up, get them as good as you can. I'm already happy with where everyone's at. So like already I'm feeling like y'all are ready to start learning some JavaScript stuff, but just prepare. That's what we're doing next. So the JavaScript stuff for a little bit, we're going to step away from HTML. So we're going to not be doing as much like, hey, here's a website, especially at first with JavaScript. I gotta figure out how I'm going to structure that, but super proud of y'all for basically almost making it through the mod. So y'all are doing really well. I am probably going to end because as Cirillo knows, we have food upstairs and I really want to fucking eat some.
Yeah.
So cool. Y'all,
I'm surprised, honestly. It's been what, a week for me, and
y'all are already
I
making
feel like
websites.
you're doing.
After-
You're
After a
teaching.
week,
You got a knack for teaching, John. Not gonna lie.
yeah, well, there you go. We'll see about that once you get to the stuff that's like conceptually harder. But yeah,
You know what the secret is? And John figured this out, and we talked about this last week, the week before. When you go to school to learn this, you learn so much other bullshit that just doesn't matter. literally has zero to do with whatever you're trying to accomplish, and we're kind of going straight to the point here, which is
Definitely.
Yeah, I also want to clarify, like, part of the reason why I'm actually good at this is because I had like really good mentors. Like, if it seems like I'm just randomly like the type of person that's a good like teacher, I got very fucking lucky with where I wound up at a job. And the person who was teaching me was not only a fucking coding wizard, but also probably the most knowledgeable person about education that I've ever met in my life. So I got to like work under someone who was like teaching me how to teach and specifically how to teach code. So I got lucky as fuck in that regards. So I cannot take all that credit. One thing I do need to do is upload some of these videos. Sorry, I haven't done that yet. I'll try and do some of that tonight. But yeah, so yeah, there was just be prepared. Something I do want to talk to y'all about is like mentally doing JavaScript and specifically learning JavaScript is more mentally fatiguing than this stuff. Here's the reason why. You don't even have to really deal with error messages with HTML. Whenever I fuck something up in HTML, I just see something on the page isn't working right, and I kind of just keep changing things till it works. The way that you have to approach JavaScript is with a mindset of, I have this error. I have to learn what this error means so that way I can figure out what's wrong with my code. And all of this sounds like, I could do that. And that's fine. I want y'all to have that mindset, but I also want y'all to be prepared for like maybe a level of frustration that you have not experienced before trying to learn something. Because Dylan can probably speak to this. Me and Dylan were both in engineering and we have MATLAB, and the only reason why I got good at MATLAB is because I literally didn't do any of my other classes because I'm like, I gotta learn how to fucking code. I don't know why, but I like he'll tell you I was failing my other fucking classes just so I could learn how to code. And the
I
thing
tried to learn and I got a 7 on the first exam. I'm just
a
gonna throw that out
7. I got a 98 on that exam, no flex.
there.
but I took that shit drunk too. But that was the only class I was doing well in. So, but the thing that I'm trying to get to is that like it's frustrating, and the thing that separates people from who can do the skill versus who can't is not like it's not like a smarts thing. It's not like people who can code are smart. What it is that people who can code patiently sat through the frustration of error messages so many times that it's no longer that difficult for them. But I just want to mentally, like, I would feel like I would be failing y'all to not mentally prepare you for that journey. Because the reason why I start with HTML and CSS is because concept wise, it's like, yeah, CSS is fucky. And to really understand CSS is a little bit tricky conceptually. But a lot of these concepts are fairly straightforward. I create this thing represents a spot on the page. It's got a height, it's got a width. These are all things that are very easy to visualize. And programming is going to be a very, very different way of thinking. And part of that is like, the way that I describe what learning to program is like, learning HTML and CSS is not really like learning a language to me. It feels more like learning a piece of software or something like that. Like I would imagine for Hector, who's been editing videos, it doesn't feel all that different from learning video editing software, or Cirillo too. For Cam, like who's already done some audio stuff, I imagine it does not feel that different from learning an audio software, right? Like you're just kind of learning how to click on things, how to Google things, that sort of thing. With programming, there's a very good chance that you haven't thought about things in this way before. You've never exercised your brain in this way. And that means you're basically toddler level knowledge there. And I just want to prep y'all for that, because also you can learn this shit fast, but you have to acknowledge that it's scary. So that way, when you reach that hurdle, you can overcome it. Cam might have some experience to share on this, because we actually tried doing some JavaScript before, and I know that there was a point of frustration there. And I've experienced it. Everyone experiences it, but it's basically just about sticking with it. So cool.
Definitely, man, I haven't experienced it. I'm back though.
He's back. Cool. All right. All right, I'll see y'all on Monday. Keep working on those projects. Mad love. Thank
Sounds
y'all
like a
for being
plan.
here. Cool.
Definitely.
All right, have a good one.
Peace.
All right, bye.
Go going, guys.
Oh shit! If you're still here, wait, fuck.
Yeah,
Let
I'm
me
here.
get Dylan. We should get everyone set up on Pumble.
Oh, no, we are. I think we
Hector
are all
already
set up.
is. Cam, you are. Cirillo, are you on Pumble?